Morning and happy Monday on May 10th, the day after Mother's Day. It's kind of appropriate that we're talking about this topic the day after Mother's Day. So I think I have a pretty well-rounded perspective on this topic because I've had an eating disorder myself. I received messages from my parents and from social media, and I have children myself. And in fact, my oldest daughter just turned 12 last month, so I've almost got a teenager who is getting into this age where it's really important to be receiving confidence and positive body images. In fact, I'm going in to do a presentation in her class tomorrow for a 6th grade class, and I'm going to be talking to the boys just as much as the girls, and this is why, okay? Body image issues with men and eating disorders in men are actually becoming a huge problem. They're growing at a very fast rate, and part of the reason, if you look at media messages that were sent to in the past, women have been sexualized for a lot longer period of time than men, but that is not necessarily true anymore, because when you look at a lot of messages about successful men, if you were to look like 10 to 20 years ago at advertisements, what men looked like as far as body appearance was not necessarily as important as the appearance of professionalism. So you would see successful men in advertisements in a suit and tie and, a computer setting, maybe they're a computer geek, weren't necessarily, the top model type, but they were still viewed as the successful type of man. That view has changed, and if you look at a lot of media messages in advertisements for men, what you will find now is that there's a lot of focus from the head down to the waist, and so the upper body musculature in men is becoming more and more body objectification is what we call it. Okay, so women have been objectified in advertisements, in media, for a lot longer period of time, but that is now starting to reflect into men's body image as well, because now men's bodies are being objectified, and the difference is that where the focus of the objectification is. So with women, there's more of an idealization of thinness, of the perfect breast, disproportionate size hip to waist ratio, very thin thighs, large breasts, flawless skin. That is the objectification and image that women are subjected to. With men, what is happening is that there's an over-objectification of musculature. So it's not necessarily the super thin idea that women experience, but instead there is a muscle objectification. And what happens, what we are seeing in research and in the real world, is that men who have disordered eating or disordered exercise habits are going into gyms and spending 4 to 8 hours in a gym and have an exercise addiction or a muscle obsession, steroid use, and so that they may not have necessarily the self-starvation problems at the same rate that women are, but they still do. They develop eating disorders, and over-exercise is a problem, obsession with muscle size. Yeah, now the other side effects that happens is that because women are objectified, this is the ideal that women think they have to present to men. And in actual research of what men prefer versus what women think men prefer, men actually prefer curves on women, okay? The super thin ideal, thin model that women think they have to look like, men actually are not as attracted to that as women who have some curves, and the same goes for men who are obsessed with the musculature. Women actually prefer to have men who are, they may be attracted to musculature, but not at the men, who are super over muscular. They view more importance on that, put more importance on that musculature than women do. But there is a problem with men accepting the thin ideal and accepting attractiveness of women based on this ideal and contributing to development of eating disorders in women because of comments that are made. So, teenagers who are dating, boys who are making fun of or telling their dating partners that they need to lose weight or contribute to and reinforce that thin ideal. And so it is very important to reinforce healthy body image in boys just as much as girls. And the teenage years they're a tough time anyway. So they're a time when you are trying to develop a sense of identity in the world and independence and value in yourself versus isolating yourself and the sense of inferiority that happens when that negative self-identification happens. Now, as parents, I received a lot of messages from my own parents that were focused on body image, were focused on the thin ideal, were focused on basing my value as a human being based on my body size. And this is what contributed to the formation of my eating disorder, and that I had to work through in my own recovery process. And now that I have daughters of my own and a son, I have 2 daughters and 1 son, it is extremely important to me that I am giving them the message of a healthy self-concept, and that starts with viewing myself in a healthy way. And so I don't send negative body image or messages to my daughters. When I was struggling with my eating disorder, I was doing this without realizing it. But luckily, my daughters may have received some of these images, or some of these messages, but they were young enough that I believe that I haven't missed the opportunity to mold them into a healthy self-body concept. And I really feel like my 12-year-old is actually developing a fairly healthy self-concept. She has normal struggles that happen at 12 years old with that transition into puberty. And she has some struggles with socialization. She is working with a counselor through it, and she's actually, I think, developing into a very healthy young lady and working through identifying social cues that sometimes she has a hard time grasping. But as she develops, she is getting more of a awareness of that, I guess. That's one thing that I think genetically she struggles with. If you have children with those issues, then it's especially important to reinforce healthy body image. So the one thing is that, we approach exercise in our house from why we do it because it's fun, because it's healthy, because we want to be healthy. We approach diet from we eat food that's going to make us healthy. We're not obsessive, and we keep healthy things in our house. Occasionally we eat unhealthy things, but for the most part we eat healthy. And body size, we try to approach, when diet comes up, my daughter now will say, well, that's just stupid, like all these girls in my schools that are going on diets, because you should be healthy and happy and accept your body. And if you are eating well, and if you are exercising, and if you are mentally healthy, and you have all these things in balance, your body's going to be the right size. You are looking at yourself in the mirror. If you are keeping a scale in your home, and I do have a scale in my home for specific reasons related to my athletics, but I use it for specific reasons, not as a measure of self-worth. I've moved beyond that measure of self-worth, and so it doesn't have the same power over me that it used to. And that took a lot of processing and therapy to be able to get to that point. But you can't get to that point even if you've had an eating disorder. So that is the way that I approach it with my daughter, and it seems to be very effective. And we talk about things. We've actually done a report on body image and magazines, and looking at photoshopping and looking at, this is what you're seeing and this is reality, and nobody can really look like this. And so she's understanding from a very early age that this is fake, and why put your energy into something that is fake. And hopefully that will translate into a healthy self-esteem and healthy self-concept later on. So have a great week, and I will see you next Monday.